All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Speak to the Beak. I am Tim the Ferds, joined by Joe Wilson. And, if you're probably wondering, like, hey, I was up at 5 a.m. like a crackhead, and I was like, where's this podcast at? And that's because me and Joe ran into some scheduling difficulties yesterday. So we're recording this on Thursday, April 29th, and it's going to be released on Thursday, April 29th, immediately when we're done. All right, so if you're wondering why I wasn't out in the morning, that's why. Hopefully that does not happen again, and we'll go forward with our regular routine schedule and timing. But Joe, how you doing on Thursday?
I'm doing good, Tim. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good because, like I've been telling you off air, I'm a little busy, and by a little I mean I'm like juggling 50 flaming items at one time. So I got a lot going on, but that's okay because we're still here to podcast. Before we start, we got a couple of things we got to do. But, Joe, I know this is a hockey podcast, but how are you feeling about the NFL draft tonight? I know you're a Jets fan.
Yeah, it's exciting, huh? Yeah, Zach Wilson's going to be great. Great addition to the team. Hopefully that occurs. That'd be sick.
I think that's a lock. Where do you want them to go with the other first-round pick they have? That's Seattle's.
Corner.
Yeah.
Like a
corner, another offensive lineman. That's what I've been saying. Yeah.
One of these.
I agree. Don't even ask me how I'm feeling about the draft. I'm feeling great. We fleeced the Ravens for Orlando Brown. They are so dumb. So thank you. It's not Ozzie Newsome anymore. Whoever the new GM is of the Ravens, God bless you for having no clue what you're doing. So I appreciate you and everything you stand for. Because you just traded us like a top 5 left tackle and a second-round pick for pick 31? Oh, put him on the plane immediately. Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. In Brett Veach, we trust. So in baseball, there's a thing where if, Billy Bean calls you, you hang up the phone immediately because he's about to do it to you in a trade. And Brett Veach is entering that territory for football because it's like if he calls you, you probably shouldn't speak to him because he's going to make you look stupid in about, 3 days' time. But anyway, so listen, if you're here, you know the drill, but real quick, we're going to need you to check out the website, beakbrands.com. All right, we got written content there. Obviously, if you're here for the draft, we got stuff for that. If you're here to listen to us, we got the podcast there. So check out the website. That's number 1. Number 2 would be follow Beak Brands on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Our content is shared there. Today, we just actually released my waiver wire pickups for fantasy baseball. So if you're a fantasy baseball player, the link is in the bio on Instagram. It's also on Twitter and Facebook and the website. You can check that out. That gets really big numbers, Joe. Really big numbers. Fantasy baseball waiver wire. Yeah. The people live for the bottom feeder scraps on the fantasy baseball waiver wire. All right, that's number 2. Number 3, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Comment on the video. Feel free to interact with the bots that always comment on the video. They won't answer, but you can talk to them. And then if you're an Apple and a Spotify person, follow, rate, and review, subscribe, etc., etc. And then if you're here just to interact with me and Joe, I'm at Tim Ferdinand. He's at Joe Wilson 24 with 2 E's. And I'm sure for the draft tonight, we'll be super, super active. So if you're listening to this and, to kill time before the NFL draft, we got you. All right, Joe. So let's get it started here. Couple of things we got to talk about. Number 1, the NHL announced another TV deal. This time with Turner. All right, so what are your thoughts on that compared to the ESPN deal?
Well, obviously ESPN, Disney deal, doesn't really get bigger than that. But, for the NHL to sign another, $225 million contract for a 7-year streaming on TNT and HBO Max streaming service and ABC and stuff to TBS. ABC is with the ESPN one, but TBS and TNT, that's going to be huge. Plus, because they lost a good amount of money this season with not having fans in attendance, so that's huge for them.
Yeah, totally. I think that's a big move. But, so, what are the chances Shaq, Kenny, and Ernie and friends get to do the hockey intermission reports?
That would be the best thing ever. AJ Molescu. Oh my God, do I hate that person? Horrible. Horrible. But yeah, I'd love to hear Shaq talk about hockey. In that video I sent you, and he's trying to like list the teams. He only knows like 2 NHL teams. That'd be so fun.
Well, the ESPN did the same thing when they had Stephen A. Smith talk about his top 5 things he knows about hockey, and all 5 of them were like totally irrelevant, like items to know about the sport. Like,
Yeah, I
it's
love.
just it's funny to me how like these major like sport outlets only talk about football and basketball. That's it. That's
Yeah,
all they talk about is football and basketball. They don't talk about baseball. They don't talk about hockey. So
you have to get like NHL and MLB Network to be able to like hear stuff about that.
that's what I mean. An NHL network, and well, they're actually together, I think, because I've seen like their like anchors go back and forth. MLB Tonight, I talk about this with Keith all the time on the baseball podcast, is my favorite show on the planet. Any night you can listen. Friday night with Greg Amsinger, Howard Reynolds, and Dan Plesac is better than any time out you could ever have. Those 3 guys are hilarious. I swear, it's amazing.
I don't even know who they are.
They're so funny. That's like if you watch NHL Network and it's like, pick any anchor you want, Kevin Weeks, and then like
I was
Rupp.
gonna say,
Dude, the 3 of them are electric all the time.
yeah,
Kevin
right.
Weeks does not care about anything. He just says whatever the hell he wants. When someone's doing poorly, he's like, yeah, well, because this guy doesn't do this and he sucks about it. Like, that's what I want to hear right there. Roast these guys. So hopefully Turner Sports has the same thing going on when it comes to hockey. I don't know who the announcers are going to be. That was my worry with ESPN. That is also my worry with them because there's nothing worse than listening to a game and the broadcast is horrendous.
Yeah,
Can't
like a
do
real solid game, and you just can't stand the people. Like you just have to like mute the television and just watch it.
Yeah, like I feel bad because every week 17, Beth Mowins somehow gets an NFL game, and whatever team gets stuck listening to her, like I feel so bad for them.
Yeah, that's horrible.
She got the Chiefs' first game with Patrick Mahomes as the starting quarterback when he was a rookie. They benched Alex Smith. Oh my God. He was like making all these plays. As a Chiefs fan, I've never seen in my life because we've never had a quarterback that's actually been good. And she just ruined the whole game for me. And then I forgot who she. I think it was Denver again this past year. And I was like, what did Denver do to deserve this? They already have to deal with Drew Lock and John Fox. I mean, not John Fox. Vic Fangio. It's like, come on, man. And then you got to do him dirty and give him Beth Mowins. It's so rude. So rude.
But I mean, like they just like want to make sure no one watched that game.
Yeah. They needed the ratings to go to a different location, is what they needed.
Yeah.
But we're getting off the rails a little. A lot of nonsense today. A lot of nonsense. We're off our normal recording schedule, so like we're just out here having a good time.
Just chat.
Yeah, exactly. But let's play a little puck out of here. All right. So we have some teams that have clinched already. So just to name a few, Vegas, Colorado, Minnesota, Florida, Carolina, Tampa, etc. All right, so here's my question to you. A team from the West, Vegas or Colorado, I guess are my 2 picks, even though Minnesota has clinched also. Vegas or Colorado is the team to beat for the whole thing. So you could pick either Vegas or Colorado to win the Stanley Cup or the field. Which side are you going to go on?
That's a pretty tough question there, Tim. But honestly, I'd say I puck with that. I feel like those 2 teams are just like so fast and like just so well balanced all around that it's going to be really hard to stop. Even though I think of all like the playoff teams in the East, like it doesn't even compare because besides like Vegas, Colorado, and Toronto, like the East is kind of like way more stacked compared to them, in my opinion.
Yeah, you know how I kind of look at it? Like a lot of football references on the day of the NFL draft. Like all those years when the Patriots were just like smacking everybody in the AFC, and it was just like the Patriots and a bunch of teams, and then the NFC had like all the depth, but then the Patriots would play them in the Super Bowl and kill most of those teams. So it's kind of like that, where like Vegas and Colorado are like significantly better than everybody else, even though the East, North, and whatever, I guess Central might have like better teams. But if you had to pick a team to beat Vegas or Colorado, which team would you pick?
Washington.
Yeah. You've come
Yeah,
around to my side of the thing here, haven't you?
they're watching my team get smacked around like 3 games straight.
Three
Yeah,
times.
pretty tough to watch. Hopefully, like the Rangers don't go on a run. Like, imagine we don't make the playoffs. I mean, nuts.
Yeah, that'd be unfortunate for the Islanders, but
But we got the Sabres and Devils after the Rags, so
yeah, I mean, we got some good stuff coming up, but losing 3 to Washington was tough.
yeah. But I mean, got to be angry after that.
Yeah.
Unlike the Flyers. I
I'm gonna need that. I'd have to cut that as a drop. Just the unlike the Flyers thing all the time. Man, do you think anyone from the Central could be? Because the Central's really good.
Yeah, they are definitely. Yeah, they are really good. Florida, Carolina, Tampa Bay honestly has fallen off in that division, but
Yeah, they have.
yeah, Carolina's been playing really well. Really, really well.
See, I feel like to me, Carolina's like that team where against their own division, they're really good. And if they somehow drew Vegas or Colorado, they would get absolutely curb stomped. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if they could beat them in a 7-game series.
Yeah. I don't know if like their offense is there for that. Because like
That's what I mean, yeah.
it's gonna be a scoring competition. They have that rookie goalie along with like what James Reimer. Like, not really what you like.
I don't know if that's
want.
going to hold up.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Will the pressure get to the kid? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know either. But I guess I agree with you that as of right now, Vegas on their 10-game win streak and Colorado would be my 2 favorites to win the Stanley Cup. And I've been saying it since we first started recording. I mean, obviously we live in New York, so we got a lot of Homer, Ranger, and Islander fans, and they're like, no, you're crazy. And I converted you, and you're like the biggest Islander Homer I know, aside from like 2 or 3 other people. So maybe they'll come around to it. But
I mean, it's hard not to come around once you get like smacked like that. Like, it's embarrassing. Like, at least win one of them. I get a point. Like, I don't even think we got a point.
Well, that's what I've been trying to tell people the whole year. Like, they're like, oh, the Islanders are so good. I'm like, the Islanders are the Patriots without Tom Brady. They just have a system. They have a bunch of guys who just run around, or in this case, skate around, that people think are good. And if they played on a different team, they'd be like 4th-line players, most of them. Like, they stink.
I'd say that last year, but not really not really this year. Like, I just think the line combos and the chemistry just hasn't clicked yet since the new acquisitions. Like, I just feel like Palmieri and Barzell should be like, why aren't they playing together? It doesn't really make sense to me. And like having Wallstrom not consistently in the lineup, like, like Del Call has been playing well. Like, honestly, like, sure he should play sometimes, but like Wallstrom's got to play. He's got to score.
No, I know what you mean, but I'm just thinking, like, as individual talents, you know what I mean? Like, I keep using the Patriots. When you put the Patriots together, they're really good. And then when one of those guys leaves in free agency to go to another team, the new team is like, yo, this dude is trash compared to what we thought we were getting. It's not that they're bad. It's just that, like, they're not horrendous, but they're not as good as you thought. They're just like, meh. And the Islanders have a bunch of those guys.
Yeah. The system they're in makes them, like, exceed expectations.
100%.
Yeah, I agree.
But let's keep talking playoffs here. So, the Jets had a pretty big injury, Joe. Well, at least I think it's a big injury, yeah. So, Nik Ehlers is hurt.
Yeah.
He's done for the year.
That sucks.
Simple question. Does that, is that the nail in the coffin for the Winnipeg Jets?
Yeah, fuck with that. Yeah. Almost, like, 46 points in 47 games? Almost a point per game player. Like, and on a team that doesn't have that many offensive weapons, that sucks.
Yeah, it's not good for them. I think, obviously, they're still going to get in, it looks like, but it's just...
Oh, yeah, for sure. They'll definitely get in. It's just...
Are they going to make any noise? Yeah.
Make any noise. Imagine they just go off now because I said that.
Oh, they probably will. I mean, listen, have you seen the way my picks have been going lately? I pick a team, they lose the first game, and then they play a home and home with the same team, and they win the second game. Like, thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, we're even on
I know. You got to step it up. That's a little bit later, though.
Yeah, that's later, though.
And then our last question here, right? Connor McDavid. I know we talk about him a lot. especially for people that don't live in Edmonton. But this dude's insane, so you can't not talk about this guy. So McDavid, 14 points in his last 14 periods. Which is like, and he hasn't had like a crazy, Mika Zibanejad like 9-point game or something like ridiculous. He's just consistently better than everyone he plays. So he needs 16 more points in the next 9 games to get to 100. We talked about this last week. I want to see if your stance has changed. Connor McDavid will score 100 points on the season.
Yeah. I fuck with it. Yeah. Because we talked about it before. All we need is a 5-point game, and it's so doable.
Yeah.
So much more doable.
I mean, he shaved it down, right? When we first asked the question, he needed more than 2 points per game to get to 100.
Now we're less than 2, so that's sick.
Now we're less than 2, and like we said off air, if he has like a 5-point game, and you need 11 points in 8 games, that's a lock. You could take it to the bank. There's no way he doesn't cash on that.
I agree for sure.
I love him. I love him so much. He's so good. I know I say it all the time. Like,
it's insane.
The things I would do for the Islanders to have a player like that. Like, I know Barzal's really good, but like McDavid's on another level, like another level.
Top 3 lines shipped to Edmonton for Connor McDavid.
I wouldn't even do that. If I was them, I'd literally be like, you can take a hike with that. There's no way. If I was Edmonton, like, I want Barzal. I want the entire AHL team. I want all your international prospects. I want all the vendors you have at the stadium. I want the stadium itself. I want the rights to Nassau Coliseum. Like, I want the whole franchise. I want Lou and Barry. Like, I want everything.
Barry as my, like, house pet.
Imagine Lou trading himself to Edmonton for Connor McDavid.
Yeah, like draft picks for the next 15 years.
Oh, man. No, he's really good, and I think that it happens. And I know we're kind of flying through today's episode, but obviously, we got the NFL draft going on tonight, and we just kind of want to get some quick hockey content out for you because we know we have a little hockey audience, like a clan almost. So let's keep moving, Joe. It's time to wet the beak, and let me tell you, our beaks have been pretty dry, like drier than the Sahara Desert out here, all right? Because we started off really good. We were like 8 or 9 games over 500. We were killing it.
Yeah.
And
you're doing well.
We've hit a rough patch. So we're now.
I mean, every better goes through it. Go through the cold streaks. We just gotta end it. Make sure it's like a 2-3 week thing.
It's just unfortunate because we both hit our cold streak at the same time, so we're not even carrying each other. So here we go. We're 18-18 on the year. Like me and Joe said, it has not been great lately for us. Joe, you got to pick first this week. So why don't you give me one of your games?
Islanders over Rangers. Positive side of the money line, it says here. Hopefully that's true because I feel like that's a solid pick. They've just got dropped by the Caps 3 straight. The Rags are looking to get in the playoffs. Isles looking to stay in the playoffs, like looking to probably not trying to be the last seed so we don't have to get spanked by Washington in the first round. So, yeah, really liking the Islanders tonight.
So, we've said this before on the podcast. Joe likes to pick the teams that he thinks are going to rebound. It did not work with the Flyers, so I really hope it works with the Islanders.
I do too, because dropping 4 straight in this point of the season is just not ideal.
No, it's not ideal. And if you're wondering why we're a tad concerned, just in general here, we're coming down to the final 5 to 6 games, depending on like what team you're here for. It's tight in the East. Rangers are only 4 points back. Capitals play the Penguins for pretty much first place, with first place on the line. Capitals 68 points, Pittsburgh 67 points. And that's going to be my first pick. I'm going to go Capitals plus 100. Washington and Pittsburgh are both like stupid hot in their past 10 games. They both have 7 wins. Like, it's been crazy. Capitals are 2-1-2 against Pittsburgh this year, so not the best record. Pittsburgh has some guys out tonight. These are picks for Thursday's games, by the way. But the reason I'm going to take the Capitals, they are third in power play percentage. Pittsburgh's penalty kill is 24th. So I think for a per game basis, that might not pop up as much as you think it would. But I'm just thinking, I know it's not a playoff series, but if you get into a playoff series, things like that, like a third ranked power play against a bottom tier penalty kill, that can cost you a series. And I think the Capitals know that they're playing for first place. And I think the Capitals know that they're better than every team in the Eastern Division right now. And I think they would rather avoid the Islanders only because even though they just crushed them 3 times, the Islanders have shown the capability to take it to Washington. And I don't know if Boston can do that, so I think Washington has a little incentive to play for that 1 seed to draw Boston in the first round.
Yeah. That's solid.
Joe's with it. I always like to think of it as if like I'm on the team, even though I'm totally not. Obviously, because I wouldn't be here if I was. But that's just the way I look at it from a player's point of view. You know what I mean? So who's your second game?
My second game is. Hold on, where'd it go? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was the Oilers minus 122 over the Flames. And the reason I'm doing that is because, opposite of the last reason, Oilers won 2 in a row, 7-2-1 in their last 10, playing real well, 5-3 against the Flames this season. Hopefully, end it. They could become 6-3. That'd be really cool. Really appreciate that. And yeah, I like that pick a lot.
Yeah, listen, I like that pick too. I was looking at the games before you texted me, and that was one I didn't think that you would pick, and you picked it, and I was just like, oh. So I had to pick a different game. My other game is going to be the Florida Panthers minus 167. They're 4-2 against Chicago this year. As me and Joe have talked about a lot on this podcast, Panthers are really good. They're a solid team. Obviously, they're right in the middle of the playoff pack, I guess, of teams that are uber competitive. Like we said before, they clinched. They're currently in second place in the Central Division, so they're a good team. Blackhawks have not been playing well lately. They're 5-5, but they do have a negative 19 goal differential. Florida is plus 25. So I think Chicago at this point, I think they might be running out of steam, right? Like we've said, they were overachieving the whole year. I think we've gotten to that point where they see the finish line and they're like, I don't know if we got enough in the tank. So I'm going to take Florida.
I like that pick as well.
Joe likes that pick as well. All right, fingers crossed tonight for those two. I'll be watching that in between the NFL draft commercials, which take 45 minutes in between each pick, because they already know that you know what the pick is, so they want to make you wait and stay up till like midnight to get to the last team. Brutal. It's a terrible experience. Okay, here we go. Games of the weekend, Joe. What do you got?
Saturday, May 1st, beginning of May, 7 p.m. Hopefully for tonight's game, Isles Rangers, to get like physical, bring some tension. So for Saturday's game, it's a super good close one. Maybe some fights. Those are always a great time to watch. So I don't think anyone on the Rangers could smack around Matt Martin. So that's sick. And yeah, just like that game. Good old rivalry.
I feel you. I like that, and it has some playoff implications, so that's a good pick. My pick is going to be also Saturday at 7 o'clock, Penguins Capitals. And you're probably like, didn't you just bet this game? Yeah, they're playing tonight. They're playing again on Saturday. Like I said before, they're playing for first place. This is a big, big game. And I think, Pittsburgh needs the 1 seed more than Washington does, in my opinion, because I don't think Pittsburgh wants to play Washington or the Islanders in the first round. So if you're Pittsburgh and you can get to draw Boston instead, you're in great shape. I feel bad we're picking on Boston like they're a bad team. I just don't think they're as good as the other 3 teams. So that's kind of where I'm at. And if the Rangers somehow sneak in, I don't think they have a chance to beat Washington or Pittsburgh in a 7-game series. So that's my game of the weekend, because I could see that being this little 2-game set being a preview for like the Eastern Conference, I guess, divisional round, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Joe agrees. Joe agrees. So listen, we went nice and quick today. A little half an hour. I'll kill some time before the NFL draft. Obviously, you can listen to this whenever because it's a podcast. Next week, we will be pretty much at the end of the regular season. And if we're not at the very end for every team, we're like right there. So we should have some playoff matchups set and ready to go. We'll definitely have that for you. A little preview next week. And then obviously as we go deep into the playoffs, listen, we have a lot to talk about. Okay?
We do.
We will. So, like I said before, beakbrands.com. Check out the website. You can follow at beakbrands, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Obviously, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. We could use that. Tell your friends. Watch it. Whatevs, you know. If you're on Spotify and Apple, follow/subscribe, rate and review. You know the whole spiel at this point. Me and Joe will be back next week. Like I said, hopefully we have some playoff matchups set and ready to go. And we're flying, baby. Playoff hockey time, Joe.
Very exciting.
Very exciting indeed. So listen, until next time, me and Joe are going to hop out of here, and we will talk to you soon.